Hi guys, welcome along. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Halloween to everybody. It's rather an exciting evening. We've got a brand new update to play with on Automobilista 2. Let's get my keyboard out of the way so I don't have that on my lap. So we're looking at a brand new update for Automobilista 2. There are some new things going on. We have GT3 cars, we have GT4 cars, we also have the Nürburgring Grand Prix and short circuit to play with as well. But there's some other things on there as well. So I've not driven it yet properly, so we're going to jump into it. We're going to have a look at it and test out our initial thoughts on what the sim's like to drive. I know there's been some changes to force feedback as well, so that's something we need to look out for. So let's jump ourselves into the sim and get on with it here. So we're on version 1.0.5.0.1336.avx. So there we are, now you're informed. Right, let's just do a test then. So straight away in front of us here we have a Porsche, which is new and a big license for the guys at AMS2 for Riser Studios. So this is our car selection screen, so let's see what's new on here. So we've got a little icon up here, Porsche Carrera Cup. So there's two in here. So you've got a Carrera Cup 3.8 and a 4 litre as well. So that must be something to do. I know it's they're doing it as the Brazilian Porsche Carrera Cup series, so there may well be a class system going on with maybe older and newer cars as well. So there's two Porsche Carrera Cup cars in there for us to give a go. What else is new? So all this is all fairly similar, and then we have a nice green button down here which says GT3. So we've got 3 GT3 cars to choose from. GT3 cars are very popular in sim racing at the moment. We know we've got of course, a Competizione, which is just killing the game in terms of GT3 simulation. It's fantastic and does a really good job of it. GT3s are still very popular on iRacing. We've got them in Pro Webcam 2, we have them in rFactor 2. They're everywhere. You can't get away from GT3 cars at the moment. So we now have them in Automobilista 2 as well. So some good comparisons we may be able to draw between the different sims. So what have we got? So we've got the 720S, which is the latest Mclaren weapon. Quite a nice looking car actually. I like the 720S. I think it looks really good. We've got another Porsche in here, the GT3R, and we have the Mercedes AMG Gt3. Now this is the older spec one, not the new Evo version, which has just been campaigned this year. But nonetheless, it's another GT3 car to have fun with, so that's good. What else have we got? Gt4. So again, 3 cars to play with in here. So we have another McLaren, the 570S, the baby McLaren if you like to call it, but still got loads of horsepower and lots of power to deal with, so we'll give that one a try as well. We have the Camaro GT4, which is a very different kind of car, but still going to be fun nonetheless. And a Porsche Cayman as well. I mean, the Cayman appears in lots of different sims at the moment, so that'd be interesting to try out and see how that reflects. What else have we got? Have we got anything else added in here? I don't think we do. Everything else is as is. So let's start with the slowest first, shall we? Let's go GT4. What should we choose? Well, let's start from the top, shall we? Let's go with the McLaren. What liveries have we got to deal with on here? So there's a F1 team tribute one there, and various other cool looking liveries on here. No, let's go corporate. Let's try this one out. And the other main thing, as you can see on the right hand side here, we have the Nürburgring circuit included. Also, I've just noticed here we have a group by location little filter button on the top here, so you can decide which country you want to look for tracks and things and filter it by that, which is quite cool. Or you can group it by grade, so grade 1 being F1 standard presumably, or FIA standards, grade 2, grade 3 ungraded, and then car. That's quite useful for if you just want to do some karting. You don't want to filter through all the different tracks and then find which one has a kart circuit, so that's quite a useful feature. Okay, so back to the main load here, which is just the circuits itself. So Nürburgring's the new one, so we're going to give that a go. So GT4 cars are, they're reasonably quick, but a long lap here at the Nürburgring GP. So there's 2 different versions. We've got the tight chicane, the quicker chicane, and then we've got the sprint circuit as it's known here, which is the short one without the GP loop. I'm going to go with the GP circuit, but I'm going to go with the quicker chicane because I just prefer it. It just flows better. So we'll jump onto that one, and let's jump into the sim and see how this all drives. Now I'm kind of interested to see how this goes actually, because I've heard some good things from a lot of people about the force feedback updates, so it'll be interesting to see what that is. I've not changed anything in my force feedback settings in game, so it'll be a straight comparison with what it was like prior to the update. So here we go, it's loaded in, just a private test just so we can get used to everything. Okay, Gt4 Paddle Shifting, let's head out on track. Oops, best not speed in pit lane. Now first things notice, the feedback is a lot stronger, because if I let go of the wheel, it's trying to oscillate on me, so I maybe need to turn that down a little bit, but we'll persevere with it for the moment. Okay, limiter off. That sounds pretty good. Down to turn 1. Oh wow, okay. So straight away the feedback through the wheel then, I felt the corner, so that first hairpin at Nürburgring here kind of drops, there's a big dip right on the apex, and I felt it just as soon as it kind of went over that, it was light, and then it landed on the other side and it jolted the wheel in my hand, so that was quite interesting. It's definitely stronger feedback over the central part of the wheel here, so if I just turn it slightly, there's definitely more feedback in the middle part of the steering there, which is quite good. Gives you a bit more of a positive feel over the wheel. GT4 cars running ABS. They're essentially a well, this thing's revs. They're essentially a road-going car, and with a few minor alterations. You have the safety features, obviously. You have a little bit of tweakage to aerodynamics. But other than that, it's fairly standard. And of course there's the standard now for GT racing, which is the BOP, which makes sure that everyone is on a reasonably level playing field and no one car is massively quicker than the others, because I dare say if you would put a regular Mclaren 570S up against a Camaro on a track, the Mclaren would probably trump it quite comprehensively. So they have this BOP system to try and level everything up a little bit, make the racing exciting and fair for everyone. Otherwise you just have a McLaren Cup. The car sounds pretty cool. I'm impressed with just how far this thing revs up to, into the 8s and 9,000s. So that's pretty cool. Feel-wise, there's quite a bit of information coming through from the road actually. You feel a little bit more detail than you could in the previous release, which is good. Oh, I've left that one late. Must brake earlier and harder. Right. Yeah, I know that lap time's been invalidated. Not too fussed. Okay. Now, one of the things I noticed with AMS2 is that it tends to turn into a corner better if you apply throttle, so it kind of understeers until you actually apply some kind of throttle, and then it picks up and then it seems to have grip. So it'd be interesting to test that out and see whether that's any different. I mean, it seems to turn in reasonably well there. There's a little bit oversteering. I've recently done some testing at the Nürburgring circuit on race room with the DTM cars, so if you've not checked that one out, go have a look at that video. That's one of our more recent ones, so reasonably familiar with the circuit. But, as far as this version in the sim is concerned, it's pretty good actually. It looks very similar to a lot of the other ones that you see in different sims. So iRacing, we know iRacing do a great job of tracks, just for the detail and the colouring and the way that the tracks are laid out, obviously being fully laser scanned. Now, they did say in the pre-release that this version makes use of laser scan data, so it should be pretty accurate. And I can see that. It looks pretty good to me from comparing to other sims. Whoa. So it is a faster game, but not that fast. Okay, let's see if we can tame this a little bit more, because if we can't tame a GT4 car, what hope have we got for a GT3 car? Over the line once again. Yeah, let's brake earlier. Nope, not quite early enough. That's interesting. I don't remember running off track. What have I got there? Go to the left just to open the next one up. Car feels pretty good, to be honest. Feels quite alive actually, and there's lots going on from the rear end. You can feel that through the wheel as well, which is good. Revs and revs. I wonder whether I need to change my brake pedal. I may have it on my alternate setting for iRacing possibly. It's definitely far from flat through there. Oh dear. I hope that's the medical helicopter. I might need that. Carry on like this. Okay, I'm just going to pull into the pits a little bit here, and we're just going to... Oops, not reset. It's going to go there. Let's just check my... I can't do it from here, can I? I've got to go back to the main menu for that, so we'll do that. Okay, first impressions are pretty good. Quite impressed with how that car handles. It could be quite a lot of fun to drive. Whether the GT4s are like. Let's just do a quick test of my inputs here. Getting full brake, which is fine. It must just be that you just got to brake that much earlier in the GT4 cars, so obviously just trusting the brakes just a little bit too much. But that's pretty good. I'm liking the 570S. Let's try another GT4 car. Let's go completely different. Let's try the Camaro here. Oh, that's a nice livery. I'll run with that one, I think. Not many in the Camaro, but then, in fairness, you don't see many Camaros running around the world in different series. I know there's one in European at the moment. Yeah, let's see what this one's like to drive. And this should be a very different animal. Obviously, it's front engine this time rather than mid. It's saying it's a V6 on that information, though. I'm not sure that's correct. I'm pretty sure this would be a... Doesn't sound very V6-ish to me. No. That might need changing. Well, this is just brute force in a metal can. Oh, what's this going to behave like on track, I wonder? This could be interesting. This one doesn't rev as much as the Mclaren. Through turn one. Steering feels heavier in this car compared to the Mclaren, which I suppose is about right. I can imagine this being a heavier car in general, but doesn't feel too bad actually. It feels reasonably balanced so far, but we'll give it a couple of laps just to get absolutely used to it. Diff might be a little bit open. Not quite on point because it's spinning up quite easily on the curves. Let's see if that's just down to me driving. This feels more like a NASCAR than a GT4 sports car, but turns into the Schumacher S. Whoa. Lively. Too early on the brakes that time. happens if you skip this full bearings out of here. Back end was trying to get away then, but it's reasonably controllable. Chicane once more. Wee, twitchy. This is a bit more of a handful than the Mclaren, I would say. That could be quite fun to drive, especially if it was online. Yes, got it stopped. Yeah, something feels a little bit disconnected on the rear end, actually. It's almost as if the inside wheels is being allowed to spin up just a little bit too much. Very weird sensation. It might just be the way the car is, but stop. Yeah, still having to apply a bit of throttle just to get the car to rotate into the corner, which is the standard trait which we were seeing originally with AMS2. That being said, it's not too bad. The understeer when you turn in originally is too bad. It does not like going over curbs at all, this thing. But now things are warming up and getting a bit more heat into them. It does feel a bit more stuck to the ground compared to the first couple of laps, so that's good. At least it shows that the tyre model's working well with getting heat into the tyres, etc. It's a fun chicane, that one. You just go through it so quickly. Just launch it through there. Just try and take some of these corners in a higher gear and use the torque of the motor just to try and pull the car through rather than having it in a low gear. That's probably what's causing the wheel spin, I would say. Okay, very different animal to the Mclaren, that's for sure. Yeah, okay. A bit more track time, that could be quite a fun piece to play with. It's quite nicely modelled. The inside looks quite basic. I mean, the dashboard's got a nice texturing to it. But look that way, it just looks a little bit like the air ducting there looks very basic, but you know, that's alright. I'm not going to be driving like that. I'm going to be driving like that, so it's okay. Of course, the Camaro is going to be replacing the old Holden Commodore over in the Australian Supercar Series, so we're going to get used to seeing a bit more Camaro action on track. Okay. Well, that's quite a cool car. Let's go try out the Cayman, shall we? See what that drives like. We're just doing like a brief kind of overview of the content that we've got here. We'll probably dive into a little bit more once we've gone through and tested them on track. So let's try the Cayman. Obviously you've got the Porsche Sport livery there, and a couple of other ones. That one's quite a cool livery. Yeah, another typical Cayman livery, and then a couple of other ones. I'm going to go over this one actually. Okay, back to a mid rear engine layout for this one. Flat 6, this one, we know that one's right because it says flat 6 there, but it is a flat 6, this one. Yeah, again, ABS and traction control, so maybe because I adjusted the traction control on that Camaro, that last one, just to control what was going on the back end there. It may have been something to do with that, but that's alright. Right. Sound like it has difficulty starting then. Right, so Porsche Cayman then. it appears in iRacing, and a lot of drivers use it there. It's obviously in Assetto Corsa Competizione as well. So a lot of experience with driving this particular car in other sims. So let's see what it's like in AMS2. Nice sounding engine. The cockpit looks better modelled than this one. Maybe because you can just see a little bit more of it. It's not quite so flat fronted as the Camaro was. One thing I am noticing though, I'm pretty sure I selected a silver and yellow car on a red one. Someone's changed my paint in between transporting it to the track, putting it in the garage and getting on track. So it's something for the Riser team to be having a look at, I think. But that's okay. It doesn't affect how the car drives, so again, steering's nice and heavy. Lots more detail around the middle of the steering wheel, around the steering angle, should I say. Felt like I locked a brake, then it's supposed to have ABS, but it could be down to cold tyres. Yeah, it feels a lot more stable than a Camaro. There's lots of kind of choppy, bouncy movements going through the chicane there with the feedback. It's like it's bouncing, it's quite stiffly sprung. See, look at that. Oof. That was a bit different to the other two that we've driven. It sounds good, but then when does a Porsche flat six ever sound bad? Oh yeah, it's quite bouncing. Maybe we can dial that out a little bit with the setup, but then again the iRacing one was quite stiffly sprung as well, so it could just be the characteristics of the car. Let's make sure we get the car stopped into turn 1. Dear me, that is really bouncing. Definitely feels a lot more planted compared to the other two, that's for sure. It doesn't feel like it's going to get away from you as much. It's just that bouncing which we may be able to sort out with some suspension changes. Because it just feels like no matter what I do with the steering wheel, if I'm trying to be as smooth as I can with it, trying to unwind the lock out of corners, it's just jolting it out of my hands and just kind of making it oscillate quite a bit. It's not second gear through there, third gear. Whee. Saved it. Which was good actually, that didn't feel too bad at all. I mean, it got away from me. I obviously just tricked the car into doing something it didn't want to do. The back end got away from me, but I was able to just rotate the wheel counter steering and it saved it, which is good. I just have the feeling that if I did that in iRacing of the same car, it would have been gone and then just unrecoverable. So that's a plus, I think, for me. I actually feel like you can control it when it goes over the limit. It's always a plus if you can control it and try and prevent a slide if you can. But when you have a spin on your hands and there's nothing you can do about it, oh my word, I can't drive with that. What's going on with that? Let's go back and have a look, see if we can change. I know as we dive into this a little bit more later, but what can you change on here? Let's go here. Okay, so there's quite a bit you can dive into there, so we may have to take a look into that, but yeah, that's really, really bouncy. Okay, so that's three different GT4 cars. I'm going to have to revisit the Mclaren, I think, just because we didn't give that a fair enough try, but we'll do that a bit later on. But they feel good. It's a strong start, I'm going to say, for the new content on AMS2. If they just release that, I think that would be... I think a lot of people would be very satisfied with that, I think, actually. So we're not going to jump straight up to GT3, we're going to try the Porsche Cup cars out. So, well, I'm going to go with the bigger engine, obviously. So there we've got various different liveries again to choose from. I'm going to try this yellow and black one and see if we get one. Okay, we'll stick with the Nürburgring circuit as well, just so we get a bit of consistency in here to see how they compare. Porsche Cup cars are notoriously difficult to drive fast. They have a very unique handling characteristic to them. So you can drive them reasonably well and under control up to a point, but once you get over that point, it starts to become a little bit trickier to extract the most out of it. So, well, we've got a yellow bonnet, so that's a plus. So, Porsche Cup car then. Again, more straight six engine noises to enjoy. Just listening to the various sounds of how they've been mixed together on this one. Transmission noise is pretty nice. Oh, yes, there we go. Now we're talking. High revving, straight six, nothing like it. Again, same feeling through the wheel, it's nice and positive. What we will try as well, just out of interest, is to see how it affects previously released cars and see if the force feedback has made a big difference there as well, because that would be interesting to see how that compares. Straight out of the box, this car feels pretty nice. Just give it a couple of laps just to warm everything up. It seems to be quite kind of, what's the word for it, kind of very alive on the front end. It's almost chattering under brakes then. And you can actually feel those chatters through the wheel, which is good. It does let you know when you reach the limit of braking capacity, which is nice. So although we had that weird kind of bouncing, soaring effect with the Cayman, I think overall the force feedback is a big step forward for me. Not just because of the detail that comes through, but just the feel of the connection that you have with the road underneath you. I guess the more you can feel of how the car's reacting to the road surface, you know, whether it's sliding around or how much grip you've actually got available, especially on the sim, it's just important to have that feeling, to know how close you are to the limit of grip and how quickly you're able to push the car and drive. So that bouncing is still there. such a technical first complex as part of the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. It takes quite a bit of concentration to get it absolutely spot on. Some the shadow of the helicopter go over the top, which is pretty cool. I don't recall seeing moving objects like that in any of the other AMS2 tracks actually. That might be the first time I've seen that. Either that or just not been paying attention to the sky very much. Definitely carry a lot more speed through the Schumacher S. Whoa. Gotta avoid those curbs. It's actually becoming quite an effort to drive these cars now because the increased forces on the wheel, but then it's more realistic, I reckon. You do have to manhandle them a little bit more in real life, so it's good to be able to get that same kind of feeling in the game. So far the Porsche Cup car feels really good. This could probably provide some really nice racing online as well actually. We have to organise an event with these cars, I think. Let us know in the comments if you would fancy something like that, just to jump in, just a fun event to race these cars. What also I noticed on the development roadmap is that they were saying that they're now going to allow the opportunity to create your own liveries for the game. But at the moment, I think it's just going to be replacing original liveries in-game rather than adding to them. So you probably have to make a backup of the original car designs just in case you ever wanted to revert back to the standard paints. Which means that for cars like the Porsche Cup car like this, you couldn't exactly go out and recreate the full Carrera Cup Deutschland or Carrera Cup GB livery car pack for all the cars, because you wouldn't have all the cars available to do that. So I'm sure that'll come in time, but the step forward at least, being able to create your own liveries, because at the before the update was released, you were kind of stuck with whatever liveries were available really. So that's a good step in the right direction, I think, for the lifetime of the game as well. So people will actually get involved with skinning things, because I know the modding community is very strong and they like to get their teeth into a new title, but as soon as it's released and get creating their latest updates for car liveries, etc. So it's good that people will be able to do that. I'm impressed with this car actually. This car feels really nice to drive. And the roller coaster on the left there. Not that it's used. Yeah, but their very own roller coaster just the other side of the pit complex there. It's called the Nordschleife. That's quite good actually. That curb on the outside there, it's not a flat curb, there's a little lip to it. Like, I just felt the tyre kind of get trapped in that little lip, so that was quite good. I actually felt that through the wheel, so yeah, that's impressive. It kind of pulled me to the right when I was trying to turn left, which is not ideal, but it's my own fault for being out that far, I guess. Yeah, no, I'm liking this one. Probably not going to bother trying the 3.8 for the time being, just because I expect it to be a very similar car, just with slightly less power. Oops. Yeah, much fun to be had with that one, I think. Right. I think that must mean it's GT3 time. So let's go have a look and see what we're going to go with first. I reckon we just go top to bottom. What do you reckon? Let's go down here, GT3. I'm actually going to go reverse order this time. I'm going to go Merc, Porsche, and then finish off with the Mclaren, I think. Just because the Mercedes is a car I've driven quite a lot in various GT3 simulators, so it'll be a good starting point to see how they compare, and then we can go through them and just see the individual characteristics of them. So let's see what liveries we've got for the Mercedes. Oh, the green one looks amazing. Yeah, I'm going to go with the green one. How bright is that? Okay, let's try this out, shall we? Alright. James, is the feeling closer to AMS1 now? No. I don't think it's quite there in terms of feel between the two. It's a step up on what we originally had when it was released, definitely. But there are differences to how it compares with the original AMS1. So it's not far off. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to come out and say, oh, it's no good. It's not like the AMS1 force feedback, which was very good, admittedly. It's different. That's all I'm going to say. It's good for me. I get on with it quite well. It's quite nice to drive with. It's just a little bit different. But I know what you mean, young daddy, about the amount of GT3 cars. There should be a little bit more to make it interesting, but it's a good starting point at least. I'm sure if it proves to be quite a popular class within the simulator, I'm sure they'll look to add more cars as it goes along. Whether that becomes complicated with the likes of Assetto Corsa having the official license for GT3 competition or not, but they've managed to secure these three, so I don't see why not. So let's try the Merc out here. This sounds good. Now, as far as sounds are concerned, I'm actually gonna drive the car around and see how it drives, obviously. But I'm also gonna try and look at the replay and see what this car sounds like from the outside, because there's a particular sound I'm looking for. I'll get there in a minute. Right. Speed limiter on. Again, force feedback's trying to kill me. Alright. Well, those downshifts are quite brutal sounding. Oh, that sounds amazing. Oh wow, okay. Yes. Yes, and more yes, I think. You can definitely tell there's a massive difference between this and the GT4 cars. There's obviously a heap more grip because you've got bigger slicks, and obviously more aero involved as well. The steering weight on the wheel is a lot heavier, but that helps with trying to be as precise as possible with these cars, being smooth. But that feels really good so far. This is only the outlet. Oh, this sounds so good. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, there's so much grip through there. Okay, how does this compare to other sims then? First of all, I'm going to compare it to iRacing. It's been a little while since I've driven it on iRacing, but so far, I know this is all new and it's easy to go, oh, it's just a new sim, so you're all raving about it because it's the latest thing basically, but I prefer this to the iRacing version. I know they've made some changes to the tyre model on iRacing, but even on a cold set of slicks you have a degree of heat. I mean, obviously they come out of tyre blankets sometimes as well, so you will get a good amount of grip on the outlap, and it will just increase when the temps come up. And there's definitely a lot of grip on the outlap on this one compared to what you get on iRacing. The big thing with the Mercedes is that you have to trail brake the car into the corner to get the front end to rotate in, because you've got such a heavy lump sat right over the front axle. It needs a little coaxing to try and get it into the corners. You can do the same with this one as well. It's the same kind of driving characteristics, which is good. But because there's more weight through the wheel and there's more detail through the feedback, I feel that this is a nicer driving experience compared to the iRacing version. So if you're a big iRacing fan, please don't hate me for saying that, but my own personal view is this actually feels really, really good. Now, compare it to ACC then. So instead of course competency only, how does this compare? We know ACC is pretty much the benchmark for GT3 sims, and although it's very early days, I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna put it out there and say this actually feels better. Yeah, I'm going to put it out there and say that this feels better than the ACC version. You may find it different. You may prefer the ACC version, and that's fine. You know, we all have our own preferences to what we like to drive and how we like a car to feel on track. If you prefer the version on ACC, then great, absolutely fantastic. But I would encourage you to give this a go. It is really, really good. I did read a comment from someone online who's obviously been testing these on the beta version of AMS2. They were saying that with the new force feedback updates and the new content, they just can't stop driving it, and I can see why. I really can see why, because in comparison to how it was, this is a completely different animal. Now, there is reason to discuss here. The charm of the Automobilista series has always been the fact that they simulate a lot of the Brazilian series, which just don't get represented elsewhere in the sim racing world. And as such, you get to try out lots of different cars and tracks that you may not have ever come across before. And now that they've added GT3 cars to the mix, and obviously more mainstream circuits such as the Nürburgring and Silverstone, and I know Spa's coming as well, is that detracting from the original spirit of the AMS series? Or is it simply a case of solidifying how good these simulations really are? I know everything has its place, and you know, we all enjoy what we enjoy, but if you take one of the world's most popular racing series, which is GT3 cars, we know how popular they are because you see the numbers of people signing up for races on iRacing. It's just huge. So if you take one of the most popular racing series in the world and add those cars to your simulation, it's only going to help, I think. I mean, there is the downside, obviously, potentially, that with so many different sims running GT3 cars, the number of people who want to race GT3 are going to be split between various different sims, and that's just going to dilute the numbers of people driving those cars online. But what it does allow is for those people who like one particular sim, it gives them the opportunity to experience their preferred formula of car on their preferred sim. So I think it's a positive in my books, but you let me know what you think, because I'm sure there's going to be many debates going on about this for many weeks, because that's how we sim racers like to act. So we like to discuss and debate new content and what's going on with certain sims and things. It's a lot of our favourite pastimes. It's just debating which sim's better than this, which sim's better than that. But you know, everyone's going to have their opinion on it, and we're all entitled to our opinion, which is fine. But anyway, enough waffling about that. Let's just... I better move on to another car, otherwise I'm just going to keep lapping this thing all the time. Let's try another GT3 car. Wow, okay. That was sensational, actually. I really like that. Yeah, that's a big thumbs up to the guys at Riser Studios. They really... Oh, I didn't do my audio test. I'll have to do that afterwards. Got so excited to try these other GT3 cars after that. Right. More flat six goodness. Oops. Let's have a look, see what liveries we can choose from here. We've got a GPX lookalike Gulf Racing colours there. That's quite nice. Green Porsche colours, which are always quite cool. Let's go with this one. Now, looking at the mirrors, this looks to be not the latest version of the Porsche GT3, because I think the latest 2019 spec one has the mirrors which have like they're kind of away from the body of the car, whereas these ones are more traditional type mirrors for a Porsche 911. So I think this could be the previous iteration of the car, so it's not the latest one, just same as what we had with the Merc, really. So let's take it. Either way, it's going to be a Porsche GT3 car, and it's going to be epic fun, I'm sure. So let's load up here. Yeah, Mark. Yeah, absolutely. It is. I'm actually really impressed with it. It's really good, and yeah, you will feel a lot more connection to the road with these GT3 cars. Yeah, Verinda. Yeah, definitely. It's getting better and better. I mean, there are a couple of niggles, as we saw earlier, with the liveries not matching up in game as to what I actually chose in the menu. But you know, small little things like that. It doesn't detract from the driving experience, which is where AMS2 is really excelling at the moment. Mclaren Gt3 is good, says Atori. Okay, we'll find out in a moment. Let's do this Porsche first. Okay, I'm not going to rev it. Listening to that now, it sounds like I just fired up a big Mack rig, like a big American truck. Let's put a bit of throttle on and see if that changes. There's quite a few samples in there. Actually, you got like quite a tinny low rev sample. Okay, well there's a potential issue I've just noticed there with this one. If you get to the mid-range, you can actually hear transmission noise, but you're not moving. Oh, it's fine. We'll gloss over it. Okay, force feedback seems a little heavier on this one so far. A bit more oscillation going down the pit lane. Oh, okay. So there's a different transmission noise. So you've actually got two different transmission noises going on at the same time. Must be just the way the audio's been sampled for this one. That sounds really odd, actually. again, grip levels on the outlap seem pretty good. You're not going to fly off and miss a corner just because you're on cold tyres. But you're also not going to carry the same amount of speed as you would do if the tyres are up to temp. Yeah, those sounds are a bit odd on this one actually. Not quite how I was expecting it to sound. Especially when you heard the sound of the Cup car or the Cayman. Yeah, when you hear those two flat stick sounds, you wouldn't expect this to sound this confused, I suppose, actually you would call it. Which is a shame, actually. Because I think for a lot of people, this car would be their go-to GT3 car. They think, oh yeah, Porsche GT3, straight, I'm in there, you know, no problem. But I think that may put a few people off. Who knows, it may be something they fix. But it certainly sounds pretty odd. But aside from the sounds, what's the car like? Porsche GT3 cars, you know, they've worked very hard to try and overcome the very obvious issues with having an engine over the back wheels. And modern Porsche GT cars, you really don't get much in the way of issues around that particular engine layout. What you do get with Porsche GT cars normally is really good traction out of the corners, just because of having that extra weight over the rear wheels, the driven wheels. And again, it does require a bit of trail braking just to get the nose in. Hairpin again. No, you can't take it. Normally with GT3 cars around there, you can kind of get away with just a breath off the throttle just to settle the car. You can't take them flat. You can normally get away with just lifting a touch, but no, I wasn't having it at all. There's your grip through there. Okay, so I think I'm getting used to the sound more now. I'm not noticing it as much. It's partly because I'm focusing more on the driving side of things, though first gear really exaggerates that transmission one. Again, very bouncy on the bumps. Must just be a Porsche thing. Didn't notice it was a Mercedes. Definitely got less front end grip, but again, that's something you can change with setup as well. I'm sure with a proper setup on it, you can actually dial that front end in to be a little bit more positive. Fair amount of understeer going on at the moment, even with the tyres now up to temperature, so there'll have to be something to address in the setup. Yeah, definitely on the high speed stuff, that's for sure. Mercedes was much more planted through there. Ooh, don't touch that AstroTurf on the outside. Not conducive to stable braking. Okay, so we'll put the sounds aside for now. the driving side of it feels good. Again, there's good feedback through the wheel, which has been very consistent actually across all the cars we've tested so far. So that's a good positive, because I know in some games and sims you have force feedback feels really good for one car and then feels very average for the others, so to have them all consistently feel the same is very good. Just kind of sliding into the apex a little bit there. Lifted off then and it turned in a bit more, so might be a bit of power understeer going on at this point. This feels really good to drive. I know a lot of people are going to really enjoy the GT3 cars in this. I'm going to try some of the GT3 machinery out on the Brazilian tracks, just to see how they go. It's all very well on a big, wide Grand Prix track like this, but if you were to take something like this or the Mercedes around Londrina or Cascavel or something like that, I don't know, that might be might be a challenge and a half. Washed out to the right a little bit there. Okay. Well, the car feels alright. It feels pretty good to drive actually. There are obviously things you can change with the setup to try and improve the way it drives, but in terms of feel through the wheel, yeah, it feels pretty good. Alright, let's go try that Mercedes, that McLaren. Let's go try it out. Okay, mixed thoughts on that one. Okay, McLaren. Yeah, the Merc does sound amazing. That's a big winner in terms of sounds for me at the moment, I think. Yeah, okay. Let's choose our McLaren here. I'm going to stick with the orange and blue one because I think that looks the best. And okay, so we're reliably informed from chat that this car is a beaut. So let's see how that comes to fruition. Wow, there's a big difference between the GT3 and the GT4 cars. It really is. But then you would expect that anyway. But okay. And the popping and banging. Yeah, so that sounds more uniform there. You've got engine sound all the way through the rev range, so that was... Let's not take off in second gear, let's take off in first. Okay, it might just be a sound sampling issue with the Porsche. That's the only thing I can put it down to, because it just sounds like you've got multiple things going on all at once, which are doing the same job but in different ways. So. Ooh, okay. Sounds like it could be a good one. Nice carbon fibre dash in front of me. Very narrow letterbox windscreen in front as well. Not much to look out of, but very focused on the track ahead. No distractions from other things around the circuit, like roller coasters and helicopters. Oh, that sounds good. Oh, the popping on, banging on the overrun. Wow. Just enjoying the sound for a moment. Turn in. Okay. So after our kind of pre-test tip-off, I'm inclined to agree. The McLaren is nice. So far I think the Merc is winning it for me just a little bit, but we haven't given this a fair go yet, so... Taking too crazy through there. Yeah, okay. So again, force feedback is on point. It's consistent again with the other GT3 cars, so that's good. So you can jump between them and not be trying to learn things all over again. Back end was trying to come around on me then. Probably brake just a touch too late for the third corner. Okay. It might feel as if the Mercedes has a little bit more grip than both the Porsche and the McLaren put together, which might mean it would be a more popular choice online. It may end up being a bit quicker as well, but we'll be looking at lap times at the moment. Again, we're running a mid-engine layout on this car, a Turbo V8. So mid-engine cars, you have to really balance them through the corner. Ooh, there's the AstroTurf again. So if you're a McLaren fan and you're disappointed by the McLaren on iRacing, because let's be honest, that car likes to understeer or snap oversteer on you and kill you. Even with a good setup on it, it's a bit of a handful. This car feels nicely poised and it's got good balance to it. It does have a little bit of oversteer on occasion, just to let you know you're pushing on just a little bit too much. Just a small amount of understeer as well. But nothing too much to worry about. And again, you can change that with the setup. But again, mid-corner then, there's a little bit of a snap of oversteer as I was trying to put the power on, but easily controllable. The car feels good. Feels good to drive. Got to stop it for the hairpin though. There's many different lines you can take through there, but that one's probably not the ideal one. Still not quite happy going through there at high speed. Little dab of brakes just to settle the car in for the right-hander. Hard on the power again. So you can see the lap time keeps dropping every lap, which is good. Obviously I'm getting used to the car a little bit more, but it's also an indication that the tyres are working better. And you're not just going out of the pits, doing your outlap and instantly setting fastest lap times and then having them all jump off like the old iRacing GT3 model used to be. So there we go, it's a good 6/10 almost. Ooh, that's my braking point. Will I get away with it? Yes. So I need to probably brake a little later if I actually controlled myself. brakes a bit earlier there, get the car tucked in. There we go, slightly better run through there. Let's see if that's better on my lap time deltas as well. No. It's probably virtue of me running on at the first corner. Yeah, but no, driving feels good. It's got a good grip on the road and you can really feel that. Still going too quickly into there though. That's my fault. It's better through there, I can go on the power earlier. Let's run too wide on the right, catching the extra turf like I have done on the previous 2 laps. Okay, this is quite rewarding to drive actually. Oh, look at that. Picked up a good half a second on this lap. But it's very rewarding to drive. You can actually see the benefits of changing how you're driving to adapt to the car. He says making a huge error at the last chicane. But yeah, you can really kind of you can tell very easily how changes to your driving style or how you're driving the car, how that affects the overall lap time and how much grip you have available as well. Now I'm not sure what traction control setting I've got it on, because you can put the throttle down quite hard and it won't try and come round on you, so even in second here, I just floor it through here. You just get understeer. So let's just, out of interest, let's go back to the garage. Traction control 20%. Higher values allow more slip. Yeah, so it's basically on 80% traction control on. So that'll explain why there's so much grip on the rear. Let's put it the opposite. Let's put 20% of traction control on. So let's see. Who reckons I'm going to pirouette at the first corner? Because I'd probably back myself to do something like that. So now we've got traction control mostly taken off. Will that make a difference when we release the limiter here? No. Let's see what happens out of here. Not a lot. If anything, it's increased the understeer. Okay, no, there's a little bit more lively then, but you could probably almost get away with turning it off completely. Yeah, if anything, actually that's made the positive turn-in even better. Let's see what happens down here, because I was always running on down here. So I nailed the throttle quite early then, and nothing really happens in terms of oversteer from the rear or wheel spin. Ooh, well, you can take that better. It also appears, even though I went back to the garage, it appears that it's kept my tyres at peak temperature as well. So. Mind you, changing the traction control on the setup doesn't take very long in real life, so tyres might not have cooled down. Okay, that actually feels a little bit quicker now that we've changed that traction control setting. I don't know whether that appears like that to you watching, but this feels quicker through the corners, like there's nothing holding the car back. almost like it picks up a bit quicker out of the corners as well. It's my fault, too late on the brakes. Tell, even though I had a pretty rough first sector, I'm already up on the time. So there's a top tip for your setups. Turn the traction control down and you'll go faster. And you won't really lose out because you still can't spin it from being over exuberant with your right foot. And you can take the Schumacher S much quicker. Feels much nicer, much better to drive, even though you've not changed much. Oh, look at that, we're almost a second up on our time. That's the secret then. Cracked it. Got away with it. Okay, trying to get away from me a little bit then. I was not in this danger oversteer moment. And 1.1 seconds quicker. Okay. Well, the McLaren's really good. The McLaren is really good. It's a different animal to the other two completely. As you'd expect, you've got three very different GT3 cars there. You've got front-engined V8, you have rear-engined flat 6, and you have a mid-engine V8 as well. So you've got three different driving dynamics to get used to there. So you've got one for pretty much anyone. So if one of those is your preference, then you're all sorted. So that's good. All right. So let's catch up. What have you guys been saying here? Pearson, what wheelbase are you using? I'm using a Fanatec V2.5. Well, it's 2.5 electronics in a V2 box. They upgraded the electronics when the old ones failed. And then I'm using the Formula Carbon rim as well, and some Club Sport V3 pedals. So that's my setup, and a G27 shifter because this works. May want to unlock the differential. Riser's basic setup is always quite blocked. Ah, okay, yeah, well that would make sense. That would make sense actually. Right, so those are the new cars. That's the new Nürburgring circuit. I know the Nordschleife is coming. I think there was a delay to that one being released. It's going to come a little bit later on. So let's test out the force feedback settings on an older car just to see how they compare. So let's think. What was one that was a bit questionable maybe? Let's try the Mini, because driving this one, a front-wheel drive car, you would expect it to be fighting you. When you put the throttle down, you expect it to kind of push on with power understeer, because obviously you've got front-wheel drive as well. But previously, I never really felt that. So out of interest, we're going to use Donington Park, because that's where we did our Mini Madness event just recently. So out of comparison purposes, let's use that there. Just see how the new force feedback affects the older cars. See whether there's been much in the way of change for that one. So let's see how this drives on here now. I'm going to use the paddle shift on this one, I think. Right. I don't know if it's just my view or not, but it looks like my head's kind of like this in game. Have you noticed that? I noticed in a couple of GT3 cars my head is tilted on the horizon slightly, so I don't know. Might just be me. Okay. So, yep. Feedback tests. Okay. Still Okay, there are differences, I can report that, that's for sure. It still feels reasonably light around the centre here. There is a bit of weight to it, but not a massive amount. You kind of do that very easily, then it just kind of tightens up just as you get to, say, about 20 degrees steering on. However, when you have more steering lock on, so say going around Mclaren's here, it's trying to self-censor the steering wheel, so when you have the throttle on and you're turning right, it's trying to pull the wheel to the left. I mean, you can feel the road really nicely, actually. Okay, so it actually feels more alive than it did when we did the mini challenge event. Yeah, because it felt quite flat when we tested it originally, which was not long after it was released. But now it does feel a little bit more connected to the road. There's a little bit more dynamic feedback in there. What I mean by dynamic, it's you feel a little bit more about what the front tyres are trying to do. So it tightens up as you turn in and try and rotate the slick tyres which you have on the Mini, and try and rotate them through the corner. It does tighten up. So here, where there's no wheel spin involved, the steering wheel's nice and tight. But on the slower corners, you can notice there's a little bit of there's that tightness there when you turn in, but then it also kind of eases off as the wheels start spinning. Very subtle rumble from the curb there. Okay. No, I think that is an improvement over what they had originally. You can see the crossover from what we were testing before with the GT4 and the GT3 cars. You can see they've done the same philosophy with all the cars, which is good. You can definitely tell that's the same force feedback going on. Out of here. Okay, so it didn't really do much. So let's see if we can change the traction settings here and just exaggerate that wheel spin a bit. Pretty low power ramp, so you can't change anything on the diff. So it's all going to be down to the. So you see, at higher values allow more slip. It's on 100%. It doesn't feel like it's slipping very much. So, okay, it may just be the fact that it's running slicks, but I'm quite happy to say that the feedback is good. Let's try something very different. Let's try a single seater and just see how that compares. Because it's good to try very similar types of cars, but if you're trying something different, then it's more cause for difference, if you see what I mean. So let's find the Formula Retro. Where have they gone? There. Formula Retros. We'll take the Shadow lookalike out on track. Let's take this to a nice classic track. Let's go to Kyalami. Not Kyalami, that's not the one I was thinking of. Spielberg. Let's go here. See how this drives on here. Now, if I survive this lap, then that'll be a bonus for me. These Formula Retros are a bit mad, so let's see how we get on with this. Right. Use the H pattern box here, as we should do. Oh wow, okay. There is pretty much no dead zone in the force feedback whatsoever. What did I say about surviving the lap? Very big slick tyres which are cold and need heating up. It's one way to heat them up, I suppose. Okay, force feedback definitely goes very loose once the back end comes around. Stick. One thing I did find difficult with these cars originally was that you just couldn't. I found it very difficult to slide the cars. I know they tend to be very sliding. I found it very difficult to control those slides. So far, apart from my own inability to drive, they don't seem too bad. Just warming the tyres up, that's all I'm doing. Whoa, just run the guardrail. Get off that, thank you. Yeah, so there's a good degree of control, so when the back end comes round and you're steering into it, you can control it, but then all of a sudden it grips. It just spits you off the other direction. Let's try that again. Tyres are still showing us being not up to temperature. Whoa! No. I still can't drive these things, but with a bit of practice, I probably could. Interesting to see what they're like with the crossplay tyres, whether there's still that same amount of stiffness around the centre of the steering angle. Really got to be honest, if we start sliding, we've really got to be aware of when the wheel's going to snap back again. Same corner again, just as it goes over the crest, it just lightens up. Okay, well, I've crashed enough, but if you're a Formula fan, again, force feedback is good, so I think that's one good step forward in terms of this update for the majority of cars that I've tested. It all seems to be very good to drive with, and very positive as well, which is the main thing. So okay, let's go back and revisit, because I didn't give it a fair enough go. Let's go back and revisit the 570 GT4. We're not going to go there. We're going to try it at the Nürburgring again, just for comparisons purposes. But overall, I'm going to say that this new update has been very positive, and I think it's going to be taken very well by those people who may be a little bit on the fence with AMS2, because I know there's a lot of people who absolutely love it, and they they don't really drive anything else other than this. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, well, I want to like it, but I just don't get on with it, or it doesn't have the content that I really want. But I think with these new cars that they brought out, and obviously the Nürburgrings are a plus, and when the Nordschleife comes along as well, I know a lot of people will be really up for that. So I think it's going to be one to kind of get more people off the fence and into AMS2. And if you are sitting on the fence, I would encourage you to jump back in again and just give it another go, because it's it has come on in leaps and bounds. So it's definitely worth another look. Right, Mr. Revy V8, let's go for it. Must remember, this isn't a GT3 car. It cannot take GT3 cornering speeds or braking distances. Let's be sensible about this. Here we go. In fact, before we get too into this, let's turn some TC off. Yeah, so you're getting 21%. Nope. Oh, that's as far as off it goes. Well, I guess they are geared towards kind of gentleman drivers getting into GT racing, so they want to be reasonably user-friendly, but the pro drivers, when they get on board, they'll probably just turn all the TC straight off. Don't need any of that. So it'll be interesting to see just how different this drives now. Ooh, there's that curve. Felt a bit of weight balance shifting then, just as it went through that corner. Just kind of, just as the car started to pick up out of the corner, there was a definite kind of sudden increase in weight to one side, which was interesting. Say this does feel very good as a GT4 car. I managed to stop it. But the good thing about having both GT3 and GT4 cars is that you can do some multi-class racing with them, which is always fun. So I know British GT run a GT3 GT4 split grid, which makes for some interesting moments when the faster GT3 cars come through the field. So you can replicate that kind of fun on AMS2 with the two classes. I know you can do that on ACC as well with a GT4 pack, which is very good. Back end. I got away with it. Over the line once more. Right. Brake. Please stop. Sort of. Back end likes to come round on the braking. It's probably a bit of rearward bias, locking the rears when it gets to the end of the braking phase. So. Look into that, but that's always useful for rotating the car into a corner, is having a bit of rearward bias on. But it's not ideal when that rearward bias sends you into corners backwards. Right. once again. That's the Lando line through there, I think. That's what he was running in the Grand Prix anyway, I think. Keep it on track. It's ragged, but enjoyable to drive. Yeah, I think for me, out of the GT4 cars, this would be my pick for a car I would probably run most. Partly because it's a little bit different. I mean, obviously the Cayman's in a lot of different sims, as we mentioned. I think I prefer driving this to the Camaro, so I'd probably end up spending more time in this if I was driving GT4. I guess if you really wanted to, you could throw the Ginetta Super Cup car into the mix as well, because that's fairly similar in pace. Yeah, no, this is a good car to drive. I'm liking this. Maybe it just doesn't particularly like trail braking, because that seems to be where it's snapping away from me on the braking. No. I can't get it stopped. Bit of a... That's probably down to my FOV, but you can just about see the front of the driver's helmet there when I'm turning the wheel. But okay, one last thing I want to try with these new cars, which I forgot to do earlier on. So let's load back in here. Going GT3, we're going Merc. We're doing an audio test. We're going to see what the audio sounds like. Alright. So what do you reckon? Have you guys tried it out? Have you given it a go yet? I know it's only just been released, but I know some of you like the Mclaren GT3 car, but let me know. Let me know in the comments below which car is your favourite, which one you feel is going to be your go-to car in the sim now. I'd be interested to see your thoughts. So let's just... Oh, I can't get over how good this sounds. What I'm going to do is going to do a few corners with this car, and I'm going to get into some heavy braking zones. So I'm going to drive it down to the hairpin, and I'm going to watch the replay because I want to check the external sounds, specifically on the overrun on hard braking zones. I can already tell there's a hint of it on board, but I want to be certain if it's going to be there on the outside. So if you are watching a replay, you're going to get that full glorious V8 noise. If you're watching the Spa 24 Hours over the weekend, one or two just gone, you will have noticed this when you're watching the Mercedes driving around. Yeah, the Mercedes, I think, having driven this again now, this would probably be my car in the GT3 cars. It would be my pick. Right, down to the hairpin now. Right, let's jump into the replay. Just fast forward this a little bit. Right, we're listening for the turbo whistle on the overrun. if anything, the external sounds just aren't as good as the internal ones. There's a lot of reverb going on there, so it kind of makes it sound like it's inside a big tin can. Having heard this so far, I'm not expecting to hear the whistle that I'm looking for. Flames from the exhaust. Okay. Now, okay, so the sound I'm listening for is not there. Let's just see whether that's just a trackside camera issue. Let's go chase cam and see what the sound's like from there. It's sort of there, but not quite. I think sounds-wise, ACC's probably got it in terms of external sounds for cars. They sound amazing. But internal sounds on the Merc is very, very good. I'm impressed with that. Porsche is very lackluster for me. The Mclaren sounds good. But yeah, those external sounds just sounded a little bit wrong. But I'm not going to end it there because that would just be wrong to end it on that kind of a note. So let's do something fun here for a final drive. We're going to take the Merc out again, but this time we're going to take it somewhere rather exciting to drive. Yep, it's Bathurst time. It's Bathurst 12-hour driving time. Let's take this V8 Brute over the mountain. If I can keep it out of the walls, I'll be very happy. Did anyone catch the V8 Supercars Bathurst round, the final round of the series? That was, yeah, just perfection. I always enjoy watching Bathurst, and the Australian commentary team just do a brilliant job of covering the event, so always a big highlight. Okay. Mercedes GT3 takes on the mountain. Up mountain straight. Very nice of the garage to warm my tyres for me, according to the indicator. They're nice and green. Up over the crests. It's a hard braking zone at the top of the hill. Such a steep hill, this section here, up towards the cutting. Not first gear. Have to change the gearing a little bit for it, but this is where it starts to really liven up. Down towards the grid. What's it like on the crest here? Yeah, the wheel just tries to snap away from me. It's taking it very easy on this first lap, just because I'm not entirely sure where the edge of the car is yet. Ooh. It's being used to a big open wide circuit such as the Nürburgring, and you come in here and you've got walls inches either side of you. You don't quite know how wide the car is. Down Common Straight we go, down towards the cutting. Conquer the mountain, says on the bridge. We're going to try. Use the apron here. The gearing's definitely needing to be changed. Oh, the chase is so good. Down towards Murray's corner. Here we go for a lap of Bathurst. Out panorama down towards Hill Corner. Important to get right for your run up the hill. A bit of an oversteer in mid-corner didn't help. We're up and away. I'm going to try and give it a bit more bravery over the top of the mountain this time to see if we can carry a bit more speed. Brake as late as we dare here. God, the revs just die going up the hill. quick slap of oversteer on the way out. Pretty much flat through there, just a little lift just because it wasn't brave enough. The car's bucking and weaving through there. Taking off over the top of the turn into repark. Down towards the dipper once again. Grounding out as you do. Forest elbow, and away down the Condenser straight we go again. Well, we survived that one. GT3 cars over Bathurst is always fun. This one's definitely one of those to add to the list. Smash the brakes into the chase. Too deep. You really do wrestle this thing around. It's great fun. Probably a little bit more finesse in terms of maintaining speed through the corners, but I'm having fun nonetheless, so it's all good. Car into the curb on the inside, use the camber of the road. You actually feel the steering really ramp up as you go through the cutting, just because of the camber of the road. Just to the right. I think I may have just grazed the wall. That one is definitely a graze. That one too. Just exploring the limits, you know, guys. You've got to find out where the edge of the car is at some point. We survived-ish. It's so difficult to get your braking right into the elbow there, just because if you leave it too late, you just run on, and there's a nice welcoming concrete barrier to embrace you. So you really got to be careful. I'm just braking a little bit too early into that, slowing me down too quickly. Right, let's brake earlier here so we don't run on. Early enough. Probably 150 board is the way there, I think. It's a lap time improvement, but there we go. That's first look at the new content for AMS2, the GT3, GT4 cars, the Nürburgring, the Porsche Cup cars as well. Lots of really good content to get into. Some good movements forward in terms of force feedback and how the cars feel to drive on the road. So some good pluses all the way through. A couple of negative points. One being the sound of the Porsche GT3 Cup car, the Cup car, the GT3 car. The fact that when you select delivery, it doesn't always show up on the car as you would expect it to. But relatively minor, really. But in general, I'm really impressed with the update and things. So I hope you really enjoyed that. I hope you have fun with the new update. Let me know your comments in the comments below, and just let me know what you think of it as well. We'd love to hear from you. But if you enjoyed our content, please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well if you want to see more content from us in the coming future. We're going to be doing some entertainment type videos and some more instructional videos as well, so make sure you stick around for that kind of thing to come up. But until next time, we will see you very, very soon.